this is a test that says it's a marijuana test. Find out.
Do not fucking intervention me up here, man.
It's find out if you are addicted to weed.
Okay.
All right?
How many questions?
There are 12 questions.
Okay.
That's right. All right. So, and I gotta fucking, I think, write down. But I'm gonna just do. So the first question, number 1, has smoking marijuana stopped being fun?
Never.
Okay. So that's a no.
Ongoing adventure, a gift every day.
All right. I like it. Do you ever get high alone?
All the time. And it is a gift every day. I do. I'm not a communal smoker. I don't like to hey man, let's hang out. You want to get high together? I like to kind of go to my office, smoke, and do shit. The way I've kind of been able to forgive myself for becoming such a blatant stoner is that I decided to tie it to something creative. If I was going to smoke weed, I had to begin writing, tweeting, editing, recording a podcast, cutting a podcast, but mostly tweeting. That's why when you see like a zillion tweets, that means I'm stoned. When you see tweet after tweet, I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I like to do. I tap into something creative, so because of that, there was never that fucking moment of like, oh, I feel bad. Like I was afraid, I'd seen so many stereotypes, and I'd seen friends of mine deal with other drugs. I don't really think weed's a drug or anything like that, but my feeling was like, the big joke is motherfuckers sit there, smoke weed, start eating. And I already did that without the weed, so I knew if I added weed to it, I'd become like fucking, call Richard Simmons, open up the side of the house and get him out! So I realized I can't take it to that direction. So I tie it to something creative, but when I'm doing something creative, I don't really need people in the room, usually by myself and shit. So I'll sit there and smoke, and then start writing and stuff like that. So I am alone. I mean, I know like if you had, like years ago, if I'd given you this test, and I'm like, do you ever do heroin alone and shit? And you're like, all the time. I'd be like, that's so fucking sad. But years later, I'm just like, no, it's good to do shit by yourself.
As long as you have a computer and you can fucking do it away. Do you get set up? Do you fucking like bust your computer out? You're like, okay, here's the joint. Here's the computer.
Do I lay it out, attentively? Yeah, very much so. It's like, this is here, and commence the adventure.
Is it hard for you to imagine your life without pot?
Yes. At this point, yeah. But honestly, not in a way where I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine me without it. I'm just like, that would be like imagining my life without food. Like, it's just, at this point, it's essential to a healthy way of life.
Do you find that your friends are deterred by your marijuana use?
No, not at all. In fact, I think most people in my life have been happy that I started smoking because I've calmed down a little bit around them. I'm not so antsy. I'm a lot more patient. In some cases, sometimes I get a little more. If I run out of weed, then the patience goes away as well. But generally speaking, it's honestly it's been an improvement across the board. It's in productivity especially. I've been able to accomplish more in the last 3 years that I've been smoking weed than I had in the previous 10 years plus that I wasn't. So for me, it's again, I'm not saying everyone smoke weed, but I'm unfortunately ruining the curve of the test.
And do you smoke to avoid dealing with your problems?
No.
Okay.
I don't
really
have any problems, so that weed doesn't really help with that.
Yeah, it's sort of similar. Do you smoke pot to cope with your feelings?
No.
All right.
To cope with my feelings? No, but when I smoke pot, I got nothing but feelings.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. You know how fucking beautiful you
This is
are?
awesome. I never knew this could.
No, I can grab objects. It's not like ecstasy. But what I'll do is I'll smoke weed and just sit there across from Jen and be like, you're so pretty. You're so pretty like when we were in high school. And then she's like, we were never in high school together. I'm like, I'm gonna go smoke alone now.
Does your dope use let you live in a privately defined world?
Yes. But isn't that the point?
Have you ever failed to keep promises you made about cutting down or controlling your dope smoking?
No, because I've never made such an empty, stupid promise.
Have you ever failed to keep promises you made? Oh, it says, all right. Has your drug use caused problems with memory, concentration, or motivation?
Motivation, never. In fact, it's increased motivation. What were the other two?
Memory.
Right. Memory and concentration. Yeah, it does definitely affect those two. More in the last 4 years, I hear myself doing this quite a bit. What was I talking about? And I'll do that at home all the time, and I'll do it with friends and shit. The weirdest moment is when it happens on stage, and it happens on stage quite a bit. I'll be in the middle of a story, because I tell very long, fucking disconnected stories that go off in a bunch of different directions, and it would help to be crystal clear for that. But if you're not, sometimes you're in the middle of telling the story and you're just like, you get lost, where you're like, you're inside, you're telling the story and you're like, just like now, you would hear it, I fill in the gap with lots of chatter, go to like some kind of instant gag I know that I have in the back of my head, but inside, I'm saying, oh my God, I'm so scared. I forget what we were talking about. And I'm sitting there trying to trace back, and then finally I just give up and be like, what the fuck were we talking about? And then people tell me, I'm like, oh yeah, and I go right back into it. But yeah, that's happened.
So
that's play with memory and concentration, yes. But not in any way that hurts. It's not like I'm in the middle of a car and I'm like, what was I doing?
When your stash is nearly empty, do you feel anxious or worried about how to get more?
That only happened once, and I'll never let that fucking happen again.
Do you plan your life around your pot use?
Yeah, I guess I would have to some degree. I mean, I had to like get licensed for it, right? Get a medical card that says I can smoke weed. I have to plan travel around it sometimes in terms of like, you know, if I'm going someplace, I gotta make sure maybe there's something on the other side, so to speak. I'm a fellow traveler. So yeah, I would say, I mean, it's not like, you know, Harley, get out of here, I'm smoking weed, you know. I smoke weed while she's at
Can
school.
you drive me to school, Daddy?
Yeah.
No, I'm smoking.
I can, I'm with my friend marijuana.
Have friends or relatives ever complained that your pot smoking is damaging your relationship with them?
What is it, friends or family?
Friends or relatives, yes.
Friends or relatives. I'm trying to think. Has any friend said that? No friend has, and no family has. Even my mother's on board with me smoking weed. And she's like, you're a lot easier to be around, Tiger. Quit harshing my buzz, old woman.
So you want to hear what it says, which it's sort of silly because they don't give you an actual, if you answered 4 or 5 or whatever, it just says, if you answered yes to any of the above questions, you may have a problem with this shit. Which is silly.
Hold on, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses out of 12. So half of my answers were yes.
They should give you like, if you answered 40% of it or 50, it doesn't say that, but I thought this was a great little test that I found, and you know what? I wouldn't say you're addicted. I would say it's more of a habit.
I didn't fucking ask you.
As a friend, you're never gonna know.
My philosophy on stuff like that, again, like I have a hard time calling it a drug, man. It grows everywhere, like a weed should. But my feeling about that stuff is I got no problem with anybody's substance abuse whatsoever. Handle your fucking high. That's my only question, or my only ask. You're allowed, especially if you're an adult, not doing it if you're a kid or a child or a teenager. Wait, there's plenty of time to do that shit later. If you're a teenager who thinks you want to use a drug now, just fucking wait until you're in your 20s and 30s when you really need drugs. So for me, it's like, it's wasted. Drugs always wasted on the young and stuff, because you do kind of, the older you get, the more helpful I think it does become to kind of turn your mind down. Not so much off, but just kind of turn it down from the stress that comes along with being an adult and stuff like that. But I don't know, I haven't seen it as a bad thing in my life at this point.
Yeah, it's not like coke where your dick won't get hard. It's not like heroin where I couldn't.
That should be a question on the test. Like, if smoking weed stopped you from eating your wife's ass, would you continue smoking weed? That would be a tough question for me to answer. I would sit there and be like, oh man, give it up. I give shit up pretty easily once I put it down and stuff. But I honestly see no reason to put it down.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way even smoking.
I know I'm saying that to a dude who's like, I'm sober, but
no, it's not.
If
Yes.
you can handle your eye, then that's it. Speaking of handle your eye, how long have you been clean and sober?
Oh, 404 days. Thank you very much. Since I couldn't get a hard tip.
Now you're always hard. Now
My
there's no
tips
problem.
are,
Your wife, Jordan, she's just like, here, do some coke, would you? Get rid of that massive fucking boner.